Well, hi everybody, welcome to Afterburner. I'm Bill Whittle. It's been called the greatest marketing disaster in history, a business decision so awful that it's been studied ever since. I think the RNC, the GOP leadership, and the top Republican leaders and consultants in Washington today are making exactly the same mistake politically in real time right before our eyes. Let's say that our vision of America, conservative America, America is a good and decent place where virtue and patriotism and hard work are cherished and rewarded. Let's call that conservative vision of America Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was the most popular brand in the world, just like that conservative vision of America was the most popular political idea in the world. Everybody wanted to come here and drink it all up. You know, the last time we ran a Coca-Cola candidate, a real conservative, was in 1984 with Ronald Reagan, where we only carried 49 states. We came about 5,000 votes short in Minnesota of running the table. Hey, that's 49 out of 57 states, Mr. Obama. That's a pretty impressive number. Now, to those of you who say that Americans aren't conservative anymore, I'll point out two things. First, we ran a conservative Coca-Cola campaign in 2010, an ideological election where the conservatives in the Tea Party rose up and flipped the House in one of the biggest political reversals in American history. And second, a recent poll asked, hypothetically, if an election were held today between Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama, 57% would pull the lever for Reagan. Now, in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and even into the 60s, everybody drank Coke in America. Old Hollywood, the patriotic one, not the one we have today, did nothing but make ads for Coca-Cola, the conservative vision of America. Even films that don't seem political at all are actually ads for Coke. Take It's a Wonderful Life, for example. It's an ad for Coca-Cola, for the Coca-Cola vision of conservative America. America, Bedford Falls is America, is a fundamentally good place, not a fundamentally evil one, as in one of today's movies in Hollywood. America is good because it's inhabited by good people. But when you take the virtuous American individual out, George Bailey, when you pull him out of Bedford Falls, then it falls out of balance. It becomes Potterville. And it's only when the good man is returned to the out-of-kilter world that Potterville is that it becomes Bedford Falls once again. George Bailey realizes that life is not about money or achievement, but rather character. He's the richest man in Bedford Falls. That's an ad for conservatism. That's an ad for Coke. Now, in the mid-60s, progressivism started to appear as a social force in America, and anti-American films like Easy Rider started to become wildly popular. Let's call that anti-American progressive vision Pepsi. No offense to you Pepsi drinkers out there. Pepsi, like progressivism, was nothing like as popular as Coke and had nothing like their resources. So Pepsi had to make a decision. Did they spread their ad money out all over the market and get devoured by Coca-Cola's massive advertising machine? No. No. Pepsi was smart. Pepsi decided that since they had a limited budget, they would spend all of that limited ad money on one sector and one sector only. Pepsi would advertise to young people. Pepsi would become the choice of a new generation, because Pepsi knew that given time, young people drinking Pepsi would grow up and they'd marry other Pepsi drinkers, and when they got married and went shopping, they'd buy Pepsi for their kids, and pretty soon this would be a Pepsi nation. And that's precisely what the progressives did too. They went after young people who grew up to become progressive professors, and then they made new progressives out of their kids. So now to the point. What did Coca-Cola do as they watched Pepsi's market share grow, especially among the young? Did they increase their ad budgets and try to fight back with a message? Did they basically say, I guess Pepsi's okay if you can't afford the real thing? I mean, no one goes to a restaurant and asks for a Pepsi and says, sorry, no Pepsi, only Coke. In other words, did they get out there and push what was already the most popular drink in the world? No, they didn't. Coca-Cola made the most catastrophic marketing decision in history. They blinked. They took the most popular drink in the world, the most recognizable logo, and the most distinctive bottle on the planet, and they threw them all away. They came up with something called New Coke. How'd that work out? Well, the Coca-Cola drinkers hated it, and furthermore, they couldn't even buy the most popular drink in the world anymore, and the Pepsi drinkers didn't like it because they like Pepsi. No, this new Coke hybrid was an unmitigated disaster because no one wanted it. Not the Coke drinkers and not the Pepsi drinkers. And the GOP leadership is doing precisely the same thing today. They're taking the most popular political philosophy in the world today, American conservatism, right off the shelf. You simply can't get it anymore. And they're replacing it with something that tastes more like Pepsi, more like progressivism. And they are shocked, when no one wants to buy it. My friends, you do not win elections by making conservatism more like progressivism in order to pander to moderates. You win elections by turning moderates into conservatives. Conservatism, baby, it's the real thing.